Hey gang. I put this one off for a long time because I'd heard so many bad things about it. But I'm a fan of the old show, the Munsters. You know, them and the Addams Family. They're like neck and neck with me. This was awful. I'm beginning to understand something about Rob Zombie. Well, two things actually. One, he doesn't seem to understand humor. A lot of the jokes get telegraphed way in advance, so they lose any impact. And two, when he adapts something, I'm not sure he understands the material. It's like with Halloween, when he did his Halloween movies. He didn't seem to understand what actually made Halloween work. And with the Munsters, he doesn't seem to get what it is that the Munsters are. In his view, it's just bad macabre puns and people freaking out about the Munsters when they see them. And that wasn't the show. The show was a satire of the sitcom. Basically, it was spoofing all the sitcom tropes, only with the Universal Monster characters. That was the whole point of it. This isn't even really. I mean, it's supposed to be a movie, but it's more a series of vignettes. The plot, as it were, is that Lily, the Count's daughter, wants to find love. And she goes on bad dates with like Count Orlok, you know, Nosferatu, and that's a bust. And meanwhile, Dr. Wolfgang is creating a monster. And in one of the lamest moments ever, he sends his assistant out to get a specific brain. If you've seen the original Frankenstein or Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, you know what this gag is. But to make sure you understand it, there is a newscast where the newscaster talks about how these two people have died with very similar names. One is a genius, one is an idiot. But only a moron would mistake one for the other. And then we cut to the doctor's assistant saying, "Hey, don't look at me when you say moron." And of course, he gets the wrong brain. Anyway, he creates Herman, and he debuts him on the Transylvania This Morning show, where he's not this genius. He's a bad stand-up comic. And Lily instantly falls in love with him. The mad doctor runs off because he thinks he's a failure. The assistant becomes Herman's manager. He even gives him the name Herman Munster. And Herman becomes a big rock star. And then he and Lily meet. And they fall in love. Grandpa's very upset with this. He thinks Herman is a moron and not good enough for his daughter. But then what father ever thinks a man's good enough for his daughter? Anyway, Lily's brother is in hock to the Count's former wife, who is a gypsy. And at Herman and Lily's wedding, he tricks Herman into signing over the castle to the ex-wife. And while they're on their honeymoon, they discover there's a monster in the sewers, and they capture it, and they name him Spot. Learn that they have been evicted, and Herman decides they need to go to California so he can become a big star in Hollywood. So they fly Transylvania Airlines, which for some reason, since it's Transylvania Airlines, where they live and the place is full of monsters, Everybody is shocked to see them. Like, they've never seen monsters before from Transylvania. Anyway, they get there. They're taken by... They arrive on Halloween, so they think everybody's cool and everything. And then they get to the place. They've been talking to a real estate person, and she takes them to the neighborhood of Mockingbird Lane. And she wants to show them a particular house, but they like the house next to it, which is, the Munsters' house, which she's never been able to sell. She's actually wanting it torn down, but hey, if they want it, they can have it. Oh, okay, so they've got the house of their dreams. End of movie, right? No. It still goes on. They go to a Halloween party because they think the whole neighborhood's full of people like them. And they win first prize. Ha ha ha. And then Herman gets a job offer from a funeral parlor because, you got to explain how he apparently got a job at a funeral parlor from the TV show. And then the next day they see everybody without makeup and they're all freaked. And then Lily's brother shows up. Turns out he made a killing in Vegas and he gives Herman his share and they're all rich. The end. Oh, God, this is excruciating. I would rather sit through Batman and Robin on a continual loop than this film. I would rather sit through the Star Wars Holiday Special on an endless loop than this thing. So much wrong with it. I don't mind the color scheme. You're trying to make it look like a Technicolor film. The Transylvania stuff, it seems like he was trying for a Mario Bava look, from like Suspiria, with all the neon greens and the reds and everything. Which is interesting, but and everything looks so cheap. It's supposed to be a movie, and it looks cheaper than the old TV show. I don't understand some of that. And then there's the acting. Okay, on the plus side, Daniel Roebuck is perfect as Grandpa. He's probably one of the most entertaining aspects of it. Him and Sylvester McCoy as Igor. Pre-bat, because we get to see how Igor becomes a permanent bat. Like, God, this is like when the movie Solo was showing you how Han Solo got his distinctive gun. Like, we needed to see that. That was important. Anyway, their scenes together are entertaining. Nothing in this movie is actually funny. That's the thing. The jokes are like lame or old. They're making jokes about John Wayne and Maurice Chevalier in 2022. Or they telegraph the jokes so far in advance, like I said before, the punchline is kind of just sitting there. And the guy playing Herman, I cannot remember his name for the life of me. I didn't write it down. I don't know who he's playing, but that's not Herman. The laugh's kind of okay. And then we get Sherry Moon Zombie as Lily. I would think that would be good casting. But for some reason, she seems to want to play the character like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Which gets really weird because Cassandra Peterson plays the real estate agent. So you're hearing and seeing the same gestures and tone back and forth. The original and the copycat. Admittedly, she seems a little more like Lily towards the end when they've discovered what the people in the neighborhood really look like, and she starts to get a little more serious and stern. which was the way Lily was in the TV show. She wasn't mean. She wasn't cruel. But she didn't put up with shit. That was Lily. She loved her husband, loved her family, loved her son. But she had no room for their nonsense. That is nowhere on display except at the very end for one scene. This was an endurance test, and I think I failed. The only reason I kept watching, well, there was two reasons. Always two with me. It couldn't possibly get any worse. Oh, God, it just did. Well, that's got to be the part. Oh, geez, they just went deeper. That was one reason. I could not believe how bad this thing kept getting. And two, I didn't think I could do an honest review unless I stayed till the end. Didn't stay through the credits, so if there was an after credit scene, I missed it and I don't care. You know, Rob Zombie, he makes films that are good. I mean, okay, they're for a specific type of film goer. I mean, you know, his Captain Spaulding films, The Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell, 31, those kind of films. Heavy on gore, heavy on a lot of sadism. I really don't care much for his films myself. I've always found him to be a little overindulgent on those kinds of things. But, you know, he's making films and I'm not, so more power to him. But, he should stick to original stuff. He doesn't seem to grasp what makes an intellectual property that intellectual property. Because he didn't get Halloween and he doesn't get the Munsters, regardless of how much he says he's a fan. Well, that's about all I got to say about this one. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.